Oh, later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And you might have heard Mark Rahner discussing this, I should say, reporting on this during the news break. Going to have a serious turn for a second. And in fact, I don't think this conversation we're getting ready to have is appropriate for young people. So if you have a child who's in the room, you may want to send them out for a moment. Just give you fair warning as we talk about Russell Brand and the news relating to him. Russell Brand, you may know as an actor. There have been allegations and rumors swirling for the better part of, I would say, maybe 10 years, honestly, regarding Russell Brand and allegedly raping multiple women. Now he has been charged with rape, indecent assault, and sexual assault by London's Metropolitan Police. Charged with 1 count of rape, 1 count of indecent assault, 1 count of oral rape, and 2 counts of sexual assault after detectives started investigating these allegations 18 months ago. Russell Brand has already made a public response to the charges. In short, he said that, quote, the law has become a weapon, close quote. And I'm not going to let him off the hook for that, if only because this is not a civil lawsuit. What I mean by that is you can sue anyone, and then you can let a court decide whether it has any merit or whether it should be thrown out before it goes to trial. But nothing is stopping anyone from suing someone else. I could sue someone for sexual assault, and then in the investigation of it, or the analysis of it, the judge may say, okay, you don't have enough here, I'm throwing it out. That's different from someone being charged where there's an evidentiary finding probable cause. I know this is in England, so their laws may be somewhat different, but I know that you just can't have someone charged if there's nothing there. There's something there which has justified them effecting an arrest. So for Russell Brand to dismiss it as somehow sort of witch hunt, my word, or somehow someone is weaponizing the law, it's misleading, and I think it's disingenuous. Doesn't mean that he did the crime. I'm just making the distinction that charges and allegations are way different. Way different. There is something there that obviously could have been corroborated by one or more of these victims. And let me get into more of these allegations which are supporting the charges. It's been alleged that Brand raped a woman in 1999, indecently assaulted another woman in 2001 in another location, orally raped and sexually assaulted a third woman in 2004, and between 2004 and 2005, sexually assaulted another woman in a different location. There's something that the police have found, have been told, and can be corroborated as solid enough evidence to bring charges. It's not just someone saying, hey, he did this. There is some level of corroboration. I don't know if it's other witness testimony. I don't know if it's DNA. That, of course, will come out as it goes on. The police did say this, quote, the women who have made reports continue to receive support from specially trained officers. The Met's investigation remains open, and detectives ask anyone who has been affected by this case or anyone who has any information to come forward and speak with police. A dedicated team of investigators is available via email at yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. That's how I read this. Charges changes everything for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where I see him trying to dismiss this as this is all back in the day. This is water under the bridge. I was young. I was into drugs and sex and rock and roll. And that's just the time that it was. But it was always consensual. And to me, it's always interesting how men try to pass off their actions as being consensual because in that moment, they felt that it was being consented to. Rarely do they take into consideration their actions or what was happening and the reality of what was going on.
And there's another component to this, and we discussed this with the whole Cosby phenomenon. We as a society, we have evolved as far as our understanding of what rape is. We have evolved as whether we are more inclined to believe women since the Me Too movement. Like, for example, the term date rape did not even exist until like 1993. That's about 6 years before the first alleged incident took place. The whole idea of consent has changed in terms of our understanding as far as what is providing actual consent. Can someone who's inebriated provide consent? Those are things which are relatively new in our discussions when you think about the past 5 to 10 years, our understanding of what actual consent is. And there are a lot of things, like, for example, we may watch movies now and say, ooh, that's kind of cringeworthy, or ooh, that didn't age well. This is the same thing. Our attitudes toward women have evolved, hopefully have grown to a certain degree. Our understanding of actual consent has changed and hopefully grown in understanding, but it doesn't mean that everyone has. And Russell Brand, not saying that he's guilty, but he may be of an opinion which is way out of touch with our contemporary understanding of consent.
You brought up Cosby, which I think is appropriate because you can reduce a lot of individual things to he said, she said, but once you have above a certain number of accusers, you reach a tipping point.
You do. And I'm very much Occam's razor here. Yes. If you have 60 people come forward in terms of Cosby alleging some level of sexual impropriety, sexual assault, then I'm inclined to believe that not everyone is lying about everything about you. You know, if 60 women come forward, I happen to believe that, let's say 14 of them were telling the truth and 46 were lying.
Yeah, play the odds on that.
Okay. And I make this a comparison all the time. If you raped one person, you're a rapist.
Period.
For Russell Brand to be innocent, my word, then every allegation by every woman needs to be 100% untrue. That's why, like, for example, Mark, if I want to use you just as my foil. Look, if 25 people accuse you of murder, but you only murdered one person, you're a murderer.
I'm not sure I like the direction this is going, but the person probably deserved it. It was self-defense.
He leaned into it. Well, that wouldn't be murder.
Oh, yeah. Okay. If you want to get technical, if you want to parse words here.
No, I mean, all jokes and kidding aside, I would be very concerned when charges are brought. It's different when we talk about this within the context of someone, filing a civil suit. We see most of the things being filed against Diddy are civil suits. Some of them are the charges may be pending in some of them, but so far all we've seen are civil suits. The moment someone is charged, there's some underlying evidence, and it doesn't mean that they're guilty. Of course, they're innocent until proven guilty in the court of law, but we should look at it very differently.
Well, the other thing that we should note here is that the world is not a court of law. You don't have to have a guilty verdict in a court for you to use your faculties of observation and critical thinking and see, oh, that's not right.
That's another great point. Thank you for that one. I try to remind people, a court verdict is not a determination of truth. A court verdict means either the prosecution met its burden or did not meet its burden in proving beyond a reasonable doubt, at least within American law. It doesn't mean that because O.J. Simpson was found not guilty that he didn't actually do it. It doesn't mean that Casey Anthony, just because she was found not guilty, didn't actually do it. It doesn't mean that Robert Blake, because he was found not guilty, doesn't mean that he didn't do it.
Wait, you're telling me Robert Blake is a murderer? What's left to believe in? Next, you're going to spring OJ on me.
Look, all I'm saying is since 2 of the 3 are dead now, we should not confuse a court verdict as a determination of truth. And we should be able to separate those things in our mind. A lot of people want to say, well, so-and-so was found not guilty. Oh, yeah, yes. In the legal distinction of whether someone is innocent or guilty, yes, that's why you're found not guilty, not innocent.
Yeah, you can get off in court, so to speak, but still have every rational person with a brain and eyes understand that you're probably guilty. Dick Cavett, there was an apocryphal story about Dick Cavett being at a party with OJ, and OJ comes and talks to him, and he says, I think I'll go and talk to somebody over here who hasn't killed somebody. And I reached out to Cavett, and his assistant said that he never actually said that, but I thought it was a terrific story.
Look, did I tell you about the story when I would see Robert Blake all the time?
No.
Oh, yeah. I was living in Studio City. I know we got to go to break, Steph, and stop looking at me like that. I was living in Studio City, and I lived next door to the Sportsman's Lodge when it was there. It's torn down now. Robert Blake, and this was after he was found not guilty. Sportsman's Lodge used to have like karaoke on Wednesdays. I would go in and sing karaoke. Robert Blake, everyone knew him there. There was like an elderly contingent to the Sportsman's Lodge. I don't know, like they had bingo or something like that, but you had a lot of old people there. You have karaoke. Robert Blake would come in and get his dinner. Everyone knew who he was. For the most part, nobody bothered him, but it was Robert Blake, and everybody know this is the guy who most likely killed Bonnie Lee Bakley. I only bring that up because the difference between Robert Blake and OJ is that Robert Blake knew to sit his ass down and shut up.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he left public life for the most part. And Casey Anthony did up until recently. She got on TikTok and trying to do some venture. But that was part of the reason with OJ. I think if OJ had sat down and gone away, the rest of his life would have been a lot better. But yeah, I ran into Robert Blake a bunch of times at the Sportsman's Lodge.
Keep your distance.
He's dead now.
Well, now, yeah, it's easy to keep your distance.
I wasn't going to look. It wasn't like I was going to get in the car with him and have him say, "Hey, wait right here while I run in here real quick by a restaurant."
No, you wouldn't want to approach him for an autograph.
No,
right around that time.
No, but we exchanged pleasantries. It is Robert Blake. It's
wait a minute. You buried the lead there. How do you make small talk with somebody who you know is a murderer?
Stop that, Stephen. No, we got to go to break.
I need an answer.
It's small talk because I'm singing karaoke there every week. You get to kind of know people who are there. He's there always having his dinner, whatever it is, and I'm always there singing. So you have like casual conversation. It never came up. By the way,
like, hey, Robert, do you think I should sing Bohemian Rhapsody?
No.
Oh, man.
Okay, Stefan, you win. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. We tried to have a serious conversation. We really did.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And on Monday, we'll be live on YouTube at Mr. Mo Kelly, MrMoKelly. You might as well go to YouTube right now and sign up, subscribe, so you can be ready. And it's going to be a live show. It's not like we're going to put up a video podcast after the fact. That interaction I had with Stefan where he was telling me to go to break, you will see that. That condescending nature in which Mark Rahner will address me, you will see that.
How dare you? How dare you?
And you actually get to see Mark Rahner as he's delivering the news during the news break. You don't have to wonder what it's like. You'll be able to see it. There's a camera where you can see him doing his news thing in his very semi-professional way.
You going to dress any different?
Yeah, I might. Well, kind of, sort of.
A tie? A bow tie.
No, I'm not going to do the bow tie.
No, do like a Chippendale bow tie and no shirt thing. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, see what I mean? See what I'm up against?
No, I'm trying to help. You'll
listening. Actually get to see that banter, that interaction starting on Monday. It may not be every day, but we'll definitely do it Monday. You get to see the show live as it happens. Our flubs, our mistakes, our attempts at humor, our attempts at trying to embarrass one another. It's going to be right at 7:00.
You can see Stefan just completely blow off rim shots.
Oh, completely. It doesn't matter how many great jokes we have. If Stefan is like distracted by, I don't know, water, he's he's not going to participate in the show. That wasn't a joke.
Wait a minute.
That was a statement of fact. Now we get rim shots for no damn reason.
That's a meta rim shot.
Anyhow, but if you do listen to this show with any regularity, you know that we have been on this topic that I'm getting ready to discuss for quite some time. Who knows? We might even had some influence. Maybe I'll just tell myself that we have this much influence. Remember how we talk about how movie theaters are struggling for a number of reasons, but one of the key reasons is that there are not enough movies which are in theaters that people want to see during the week. And the movies which are, I'll say, blockbusters or potential blockbusters are not in the theaters all that long. In other words, you know that's going to hit streaming in 20 to 30 days. And if you don't want to deal with the actual movie theater experience, all you have to do is be patient. And we said, hey, if that doesn't change, movie theaters will have nowhere to go. There's nothing that they can do because they need both more movies and they need movies to stay in theaters longer. Adam Aron, who's the CEO of AMC Entertainment, the largest theater chain in the U.S. and globally, said there's now more agreement around extending exclusive theatrical windows to 45 days. Quote, I have at least 3 of the 6 major studios who are completely in agreement that we need to bring back the 45-day window. And this is what he said to Deadline on Wednesday as a part of CinemaCon. This is something you just have to have happen. Adam Aron goes on. Now, if you look at every studio except for Disney, the window is, get this, 18 to 36 days. I didn't know it was as low as 18 days.
It's crazy.
2.5 weeks. And Disney's been a very successful studio, going back to his remarks. So we shall see. But the largest exhibitor in the U.S. is in serious dialogue with studio after studio after studio because we as an industry are leaving money on the table by not living up to the 45-day window, close quote. Mark, didn't we basically say that you got to keep movies in theaters longer if you want theaters to survive?
Yeah, they got to pull out of this death spiral. And there's some things that are going straight to streaming that seem insane to me. Did you see the announcement this week that David Fincher is going to direct Brad Pitt in a Cliff Booth sequel that Tarantino doesn't want to direct?
Yes, it's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something like that.
A sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, focusing on the adventures of Cliff Booth, the sidekick friend. But it's going straight to Netflix.
And you're talking about what would have been a major motion picture
Worst
release.
movie ever.
No,
Make
it
him
was.
stop. Cut him off.
No, he's not wrong. I get that. But this is where you're right. Okay, as far as quality, Stefan, you're correct. As far as Mark being correct, he's correct that this is something which should be in theaters. It was a major motion picture release before. The sequel should be treated equally.
Stefan, Dad's going to make us shake hands.
I wish people had the live feed, the video feed, so they could see Stefan in his disgust right now.
How could you possibly hate that movie? It's the best thing he's ever done.
It's just interesting to me because you write stories. Shouldn't there be a beginning, a middle, and an end?
He's unconventional.
If you don't think there was a beginning and a middle and an end, maybe you should have a grown-up sit with you through the movie and explain it to you.
Wow.
Or, just watch the movie and experience it. Because that's what happens every time is you get a beginning, middle, boop. That's it. That's the movie.
Are you sure you saw the same movie that I'm talking about?
Ooh. It is trash. It is garbage.
You are unreachable.
It is
Stick with cartoons.
You stick with cartoons.
No, you stick with cartoons.
The only redeemable point
Yes.
or the only redeemable aspect of that movie is the Sharon Tate aspect of it at the end.
Basically trash.
Yeah, no, it is. It's 100% trash. It could have been a 45-minute Lifetime movie.
I love you, and I want you to get the help that you need.
Lifetime.
I'm here for you.
That is like 2 steps below Netflix.
Yeah, because that's what it was. I don't know why people like.
How about Hallmark?
Yeah, Hallmark would work. But yeah, it did not need to be almost 3 hours of seeing his foot fetish. We could just have 45 minutes.
Okay, this we could agree on.
Okay.
There are movies which need to be in theaters, and they need to stay in theaters longer, right?
Sure.
It's radio. You
Yes,
can't just
absolutely.
nod your head.
Yes. Sorry.
Affirmative.
Okay. We may disagree on whether this particular upcoming movie is one of them, but we need to have more movies in theaters for a longer duration. Streaming definitely has its place because there are a lot of stuff that's being made I definitely would never pay to see in a theater situation. So the studios will have to work that out themselves. I'm not paying, like, for example, a lot of these Netflix movies that are going direct to Netflix, like a big, what is it, Red One with Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Sequel, Red. Oh, yeah. That's Netflix, yeah.
Yeah. I would have never paid to see that.
No.
Ever in a million years. I don't care how much Netflix paid for it. I'm not paying to see it. That's why streaming is great. It offers an outlet for mid-level. Remember we have the straight to VHS movies, the B movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're not in the theater. This is that now, just 25, 30 years later.
Yeah.
And there has to be that sort of outlet. But back then, there were enough movies which were going to be in theaters for months where it wasn't an issue. So the 45-day window, completely agree with. You got to have it. As far as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I don't know if we need to have a sequel. I'm just saying, Mark.
I loved it. And we don't all have to like the same thing, but I thought it was terrific.
It's basically trash.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now on Later with Mo Kelly, Mark talks about movies and TV, pontificates about pop culture. Rahner Report with Mark Rahner.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Now we have the Rahner Report with the Mark Rahner.
When I first saw the trailer for The Bondsman on Amazon Prime, I thought, that's my kind of show. Dead guy brought back to life to hunt down escaped demons. Kevin Bacon stars with sort of a towny trash accent. Here's the trailer.
Did you die?
Male enforcement, come out with your hands up. Yeah, I think maybe I did.
Mr. Halloran, I'm here about your new job orientation.
She knows things, Hub, about how you
Died and went to hell. You're only standing here now because we brought you back.
which is just plain silly.
Do you think it's silly, Mr. Halloran?
What job, lady?
You're still a bounty hunter, but now you hunt demons for the devil.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Imagine hell is a prison, and sometimes inmates bust out. This time one of them busted out here, and more might be coming. The warden wants them found and sent back.
What do you mean, send them back?
Just put one in the brain. You'll see, hopefully, for all of us.
I need to tell you something about your pastor.
Well, maybe it's not just about killing demons. Hope you can get your family back together.
You're stuck in this so-called job for how long?
The hell runs out of demons, seems like. You need to see this. There's a pattern.
Then call the hotline.
A 1-900 number charging $10 a minute.
What do you expect? It's hell. If you fail to process any demons assigned to you,
Step on it, we're skipping school.
you will be terminated.
Jesus, Lord, please help me. take our son along for a demon fight yesterday?
I'm just trying to do something nice here.
I think I got all the dirty stuff bleeped out of that. The demons have glowing eyes, which is good for identification purposes. There's some gore in The Bondsman. Yeah, my kind of show, all right. Dead guy brought back to life to hunt down escaped demons. I knew it was my kind of show because I really liked it the first time I saw it in the late 90s, and it was called Brimstone. Remember that? Here, just take a listen to this. It's a man in a confessional.
Father, for I've sinned. It's been a long time since my last confession. I was a cop. I was good at my job. I was married. I had a good life. And my wife was raped. We caught the guy who did it, but he got off. I tracked him down. And I killed him. Killed him.
This is a terrible, terrible sin, my son.
2 months later, I cornered this petty thief who had a gun. He opened up on me. I took 5 bullets to the face and neck. And I died. And because I had killed a man in cold blood, I went to hell. You okay in there, Father? You know, it's funny, but even the most maximum security penitentiaries, from time to time, inmates will escape. It happened on Devil's Island. It happened at Alcatraz. 6 weeks ago, it happened in hell. 113 of the most vile creatures who ever walked the earth escaped. And now they're back.
But the Prince of Lies, the Master of Hell, surely having his subjects back on Earth spreading chaos and destruction, all this would bring a smile to his face.
I don't know, Father. You of all people know that even the devil has to answer to a higher power. He screwed up. And now I need someone to fix things. Track down those creatures and send them back to hell.
Okay, you get the idea, and I like that confessional exposition there. Awfully similar. Brimstone starred that blonde guy from the 30-something show. His name was Peter Horton. He's still with us, but he was a cop, not a bail bondsman, so totally different, right? That show only ran 13 episodes on Fox. I don't think it's ever been on video. I got some episodes on VHS in storage someplace because, of course, I do. I checked a couple torrent sites, and I think you can find it if you're a filthy scofflaw. Brimstone was about a cop raised from the dead and hell to hunt down escaped demons, played things straight, had atmosphere to spare compared to the Plopsman, and John Glover was pretty fun as the devil in that show. It was a good companion show to other ones on Fox at the time, like Millennium and, of course, X-Files. If I'm remembering it right, each time the guy smoked one of the demons he was hunting, one of his hell tattoos disappeared. Why am I talking so much about a show from 1998 and not the new one on Amazon Prime? Well, it's better. The Bondsman is a horror action comedy. Before I saw it, I wish they'd played it straight, and that didn't change after I watched it. Kevin Bacon's character, Hub, is divorced. Who is Hub? What kind of a name is Hub? I just about swore there. He's divorced from a singer. They got a teenage son, so there's some irritating, perfunctory scenes and dialogue right there. The singer has a sleazy boyfriend, and the Bondsman is close with his mom. Bacon, by the way, is 66 years old, which makes him only 9 years younger than the woman playing his mother. Nothing against him. Actors got to pay for the pool upkeep. Show's watchable, but about the best thing I can say about the 8 episodes is that they're short, all about a half hour, give or take. The show is created by someone named Granger David. It's his first thing of any note. I can't say if he ripped off the older show or ever saw it or didn't even do a Google search or what. I had a story stolen from me once and turned into a show. I can't tell you the name of it, but when I looked it up, I saw that the credited writer didn't have any other major previous credits either. I'm not going to accuse the Bondsman writer of theft because that's serious and I don't want to go to court. I can accuse him of being really unoriginal, though. Whether something's ripped off or just an unoriginal idea done worse than the original, I still take that as an insult from the creators. They think we're that dumb. In fact, I tried to track down the creators of Brimstone. Their names Ethan Reif and Cyrus Voris. They also wrote Kung Fu Panda, believe it or not. I tried getting a hold of them. They don't have any social media presence. I got somebody I know to get me their agent's information from IMDb Pro. Didn't get an answer from them yet, so we're just going to go with what we have here. Now that I'm thinking about this, I wrote a zombie comic back around 2009 and 10 called Rotten. And a few months ago, I saw a Facebook post or ad or something from someone who also had a zombie property called Rotten. And I put in the comments, dude, at least do a Google search on your title before you publish something. No reply. And that's the story on this. It's the kind of show that will only make you want to watch the original because it's much better.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Part 2 of the Rahner Report when we come back.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Welcome to Mo on the Movies.
Oh, Red.
Don't be ridiculous, darling. It's Mo on the Movies.
Kiss me.
Not a chance.
KFI AM 640 is Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. In fact, we are opening the phones right now. Give us a call at 800-520-1KFI, 800-520-1534 for Name That Movie Cult Classic, the Val Kilmer edition. 800-520-1534. Name That Movie Cult Classic for the Val Kilmer edition. Now back to Mark Rahner for part 2.
Real quick, along with the economy, some pretty notable people died this week, and they're never coming back either. For starters, one you might not know the name of, Robert McGinnis, a magnificent artist of some of the best James Bond movie posters. I think he was 99 years old. I finally had gotten my hands on a Belgian one for that 1967 Casino Royale comedy Bond movie. Just learned, by the way, that Fleming pronounced it Casino Royal, and I still love the art for that. Look up Robert McGinnis, and you may realize he was the artist of some of your favorite movie images or book covers. We lost Richard Chamberlain. I was watching the first of his 2 Indiana Jones ripoff movies on Tubi this weekend when I saw he died. This happens to me a lot. Not sure if I'm the cause or it's just a function of the fact that I like so much old stuff. He was famous for Dr. Kildare, which was before my time, but after that, he became the king of the TV miniseries. Shogun, Bourne Identity, Thornbirds. Richard Norton, a legendary martial artist and actor and choreographer from Australia in some classics with some of the greats. Loved him acting in Force 5 with Joe Louis and Benny the Jet Urquidez. He had such a long and impressive career that he was in the last 2 Mad Max movies and coordinated their stunts. I had been seeing posts of his with Cynthia Rothrock on Facebook. His catchphrase was, "Is it painful?" after he just kicked the crap out of somebody. And Val Kilmer, who we're going to get into in the next hour. The director, John Frankenheimer, when I was interviewing him for his not that great Reindeer Games movie, told me, which you don't usually hear from people in show business, he'd never work with Kilmer again. But that's the trade-off sometimes, instability and difficulty for just insane talent. And Kilmer was terrific. Some of my favorites of his that are not Heat or Tombstone, which you know real well, Real Genius, I don't even know how many times I've seen it. That was one of his first big movies. Hilarious still. Wonderland from 2003, where he plays John C. Holmes. That's all I'm going to say about it. Spartan from 2004, a David Mamet movie. Val Kilmer plus David Mamet is a really cool combination. Thunderheart from 1992. Kilmer plays an FBI agent with some Native American heritage investigating a crime among Native Americans. And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang from 2005. I think that's his last great one, and he co-starred with Robert Downey Jr., and that came before Downey's big resurrection with Iron Man. All those are terrific movies. If you haven't seen them, put them on your list. Track them down.
KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Chock full of stimulating talk.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.